Hey, hi, how you doing? This is the Gamertron, and welcome back to the Gamertron Show. So, let's talk about Souls. Dark Souls. A video game with an unmatched popularity, an unmatched cult following, an unmatched fan base unlike any other. Whether you consider that good or bad is totally up to you. But since the cult classic video game Demon's Souls got its spiritual successor Dark Souls, and Dark Souls became one of the most popular, most talked about, most big things in gaming ever, needless to say, other aspiring video game developers and publishers have noticed the popularity and the success of Dark Souls, and they're going to want to take their own swing at it. What with the very, very good game, the very good release of Lords of the Fallen, a Souls-like game. It's impossible not to see the similarities and the inspiration Dark Souls had on Lords of the Fallen. There's a semi-open world connected by multiple pathways. There's a great amount of challenge, a lot of risk and reward. A heavy emphasis and importance on boss battles, which I love boss battles. One of the main reasons I really like Lords of the Fallen and I like the Dark Souls games is because of their focus on boss battles. I've noticed as the years go by that boss battles are becoming a less and less of a thing, but hopefully, thanks to the Dark Souls franchise and proof by Lords of the Fallen, boss battles are making a big comeback. People are seeing the importance of boss battles, how much impact they can have on the player, and how much of a cultural impact it can have on the gaming community. Ornstein and Smough, those two bastards, are one of the most talked about bosses of all time. So, what with the cultural phenomena of the Souls series and the effect they've had on the gaming community and the gaming industry, and the decent success of Lords of the Fallen, the developers of Lords of the Fallen have already confirmed that they made more than enough money from Lords of the Fallen to be able to make a sequel. And the reason so many bought and tried out Lords of the Fallen was because it was a Souls-like game. Some people liking it, some people hating it. As with every video game ever. And now, with the major overhyping of Bloodborne, the new spiritual successor and sequel to Dark Souls, a lot of people are excited for Bloodborne. A bit too excited. But yeah, Souls-like games, or games that follow the Souls formula, have become incredibly popular. So, I'm asking you a question from me to you, my subscribers, my viewers. Are we going to see more Souls-like video games? I mean, we already got Lords of the Fallen, which was obviously inspired by the Souls series, and is a Souls-like game. Hell, we've even seen Dark Souls affect other games that aren't technically Souls-like, but they have Souls-like elements, such as Rogue Legacy and Shovel Knight. When you die, you're not simply going back to a checkpoint, well, you are, but it's more than that. There's a hefty consequence for dying. Video games are learning from Dark Souls that you have to make death meaningful. Death has to be something that the player will truly fear. In Dark Souls, it's the fear of losing all your souls. In Lords of the Fallen, it's fear of losing all your XP. In Rogue Legacy, it's fear of losing a character that you like, or a castle layout that you've gotten used to. And with Shovel Knight, well, it's the fear of losing all your money. Not just that, all these video games have a heavy emphasis on boss battles. The bosses are made important. They're made challenging, they're made important, they're made memorable. And in more games, we're seeing an emphasis on that. So, are we going to see more Souls-like games? Are we going to see more games like Lords of the Fallen? Or are we going to see more games like Rogue Legacy and Shovel Knight that borrow just a couple elements from Dark Souls to make them almost Souls-like, but they're not really Souls-like? Because honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing more Souls-like games. Sure, it may, for some reason, these are crazy people, mind you, very crazy people, that are bugged when a video game takes inspiration from or tries to emulate another video game. Lords of the Fallen, before release, was called a Dark Souls clone, a Dark Souls copycat, time and time again. And still being called that by people who obviously haven't played it. It's definitely a Souls-like game, but it's no Dark Souls. It's no Demon's Souls. Hell, I welcome this. I welcome this new almost... It's not really a new genre, it's a dark fantasy hack-and-slash RPG that's challenging. That's not really a new genre, it's been done before Dark Souls, but Dark Souls made it made it popular, made it big, made it something that a lot of people can really get into. And I don't mind more games like that. I don't mind more Souls-like. I want more Souls-like. I want more games like Dark Souls. That's why Lords of the Fallen was such a nice treat for me. It's a Souls-like game that isn't Dark Souls. It's different enough to be its own game, but it's another dark fantasy hack-and-slash RPG that's challenging, and we need more games like that. We have far too many first-person shooters. Not that that's a bad thing. I made a video about that. There's nothing wrong with third-person shooters. There's nothing wrong with third-person shooting action games. There's nothing wrong with those kinds of games, but it's nice to have some variety. So, if Dark Souls, if Souls-like games, if Lords of the Fallen, hell, if Bloodborne, even though I don't support the overhyping of Bloodborne, I'm hoping Bloodborne will be a really good game. I'm hoping more and more video game developers will be inspired and try to emulate from Dark Souls and make more Souls-like games because, again, we have a lot of shooters, I mean a lot of shooters, and it would be nice to get some more variety in what we are offered in our video games. It would be nice to see that the big AAA lineup of video games isn't always shooter, shooter, shooter. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with there being a lot of shooters. But I would like to see more of other genres get their moment in the spotlight. Get more games in their genre. And I'm so glad Dark Souls and Souls-like games are as popular as they are. They're as much as a cultural phenomena as they are. Other people may bitch and moan about getting more Souls-like games. As a matter of fact, I want to touch on that quickly. I don't get that train of thought. Because one video game did something, it's all of a sudden a huge negative. It's all of a sudden a big deal that another game does something similar or is inspired by that other game. I don't get that. That doesn't make any sense. What's wrong with more video games? Honestly, I don't get the issue here. What's wrong with more video games? So they're inspired or try to emulate others. What's wrong with that? There ain't nothing wrong with that. That just means more video games in a genre that you may or may not like. And if you like that genre, you should be happy you're getting more games in it. I mean, just, hello? Now, I've been rambling quite a bit throughout this video, but the question still stands, and I am looking forward to the comments below of what you guys believe. Are we going to see more Souls-like video games? Are we going to see more games like Dark Souls? Are we going to see more games like Lords of the Fallen that are inspired by Dark Souls? Let me know in the comments below. I am genuinely curious as to what you guys think of this subject. I am genuinely curious of what you guys have to say. Are we going to see more Souls-like video games? Are we not? Is that kind of game going to die down? That's a Souls-like game. Is that going to die down in popularity? If not, what kind of games are we going to see? What Souls-like games are we going to see? Are we going to see more games in the dark fantasy genre? Should Souls-like games only remain in dark fantasy? What is your opinion? What is your thought? Let me know in the comments below. I can't read those comments. Don't get enough comments. Love reading comments. Please leave a comment. If you liked the video, if you enjoyed the video in any way, please hit the like button. It helps me, helps you, helps everyone involved in the video. If you hit that like button, if you're new to the channel, if you just stumbled across this video because you like Dark Souls and saw, hey, Souls, this is about Dark Souls, woohoo! I'm a guy who loves video games, loves talking about video games, so if you like that, please subscribe for more good old video game content and to help me out. In the meantime, this has been a video, and I will see you guys later.